Hey, welcome to Taylor's Trick Taking Table. I'm Taylor, and these must be some sick tricks.
Those aren't sick tricks.
What? These aren't sick tricks? I think they're pretty sick.
That isn't sick tricks.
You're telling me these aren't sick?
No way that's sick tricks.
That's not a sick trick? Okay, what about this? Okay, these have to be pretty sick tricks, huh? You have to admit, even this is pretty sick. It's just because they weren't tight. Look, I can totally do it.
No way that's sick
Come
tricks.
on, these have to be sick tricks. What do I gotta do here?
No way that's sick tricks.
What are you telling me these aren't sick?
No way that's sick tricks.
Okay, fine. I'm pulling out the big guns. You ready for this? This has to be a sick trick.
No way that's sick tricks.
Anything yet, please? Oh, we're talking about sick tricks by Masato Utsugi. I see what you're saying. This is coming out with the Kickstarter that we've been covering with Sail Legacy, and we'll cover it where the hook today is you're going to be bidding on certain feats. You're trying to do certain things during trick play, and you're going to be bidding on how many you can do, which also sounds a little bit like Quashars. So we're going to cover this. This is designed by Taiki Shinzawa, and this is similar, bidding on how many times you're going to complete certain feats. Let's go to the table and watch some real sick tricks. All right, bye. See you at the table. How about this? This is a sick trick.
The deck in SickTricks is 4 suits numbered 1 through 12. Here we have a game of SickTricks starting to get set up for 3 players. So at 3 players, you're actually not going to use the skull suit or any of the prediction cards that mention a skull. So I'm just going to clean those out of here for now. Next, you're going to set the score tracker to the 2-round side because there's 2 rounds in the game. Whoever has the most points at the end of those 2 rounds wins. You're going to write down your names up here. I'm also going to set this aside. Finally, you're going to shuffle the deck that you have built. So at 3 players, it's 3 suits, 1 to 12. At 4 players, it would have that skull suit. You're going to shuffle it, deal it all equally. You're going to give everyone a bunch of cubes. They are going to have them in their supply on their kind of section board here. And then you're going to set up stage 1, 2, and 3 of the round, and this is stage 1, which is the first 4 tricks, stage 2 tricks 5 through 8, and then stage 3 is tricks 9 through 12. Next, you're going to set up these predictions just like they have them up here. So in stage 1, you're going to shuffle the A, and you're going to have 2A, and in stage 2, you have 1A and 1B, so you're going to get a random B. And then in stage 3, you're going to get 2 random Bs. Those are the grab cards, and then now we have the rail cards. These are all the same, and you're just going to fill these up here. And what these are feats that you could do after a trick, and what these are feats you will check if you've done at the end of that stage. So this is after 4 tricks, after 8 tricks, after all 12 tricks. Here we've moved some stuff around so we can have a cleaner player area. And now the first person to bid is the person who is dealt the 5 of aliens. And so it will be the sunglass player. They're going to look at their hand, and they're going to also look at all the different feats out there. And the big ones are rails. You'll be doing it during the stage or after a trick. And then over here are the grabs, and you'll be seeing if you do them at the end of a stage. So the sunglass player is looking at their hand, and the Gundam suit is trump. So they're definitely going to win some tricks here because they have a lot of high trump, but they don't really have anything too low. So maybe they don't think they're going to do that. They're going to have way more than 1 they think of that. So they're not going to do that. Maybe they can go for no bananas. So they think at least 1. Maybe they can get at least 3 tricks here. So that's 2. These tricks amongst the players, maybe they can do either one of those. They can kind of go one way or the other, seeing how it goes. They could definitely win a trick with a lightning bolt, which is the trump. So I think they're okay with that one. They might win a trick with that as well. So maybe they're thinking 1, maybe 2, 3, 4, and then most tricks amongst players, maybe they try to get a lot of tricks at the start or try to match someone up here, and they think at least 5. So they're going to go 5. So they're going to take 5 of their tokens, put them out on 5. Next is going to go to the helmet, and maybe they bid 4. And then finally, it comes to the cone of big wave, and maybe they bid 3. So now after that, it's going to go back to the sunglass player. They have to take half of their cubes, rounded down, and put them on the top as a prediction, showing off what ones they are going to try to do to the rest of the players. So you want to pick the ones you're most confident on. So maybe this player up here, definitely thinks that's going to happen. And it's rounded down, so they just have to do this twice. So maybe afterward, they're going to try to lose, or maybe have no bananas. So they're going to put that one out there. And now this player also puts out 2 because it's 2 rounded down. Maybe they think they're going to have those 2. And then finally, Kona is going to put 1 out. So then the player with the 5 aliens is going to start the trick play. It is a must-follow game. And what they want to do is, oh, that says play 8 or higher. Maybe that was a better prediction. Maybe they're going to move up there. That's nice. So they are going to try to predict to play an 8 or higher. They are going to do that right now. So they're going to play this card. So usually there'd be more space, but this player played it right here, and players are playing the cards to the stage up in front of them. So as an example, coming to the helmet player up here, they are going to play and must follow up on the top here, and they're going to play right there. And then finally, Kona Big Wave is going to follow suit and play a 7. So if you won the trick, you're going to keep your card face up. If you lost the trick, you're going to flip your card face down. And then you're also going to check if you completed a prediction of the trick. So this player did and that player did because they played an 8 or higher. So if you predicted it on the top, you're going to slide it down to the +1. And if you didn't predict it, but you actually competed it, it's a mandatory thing. You have to place your cube on the card. Each card can only have 1 cube. So if players do this later, and like if they're the red or the dark blue, they won't put another cube there. But if Kona does it later, they would. So it doesn't matter if you predicted it or not. If you do it, you always will put a cube there. So then maybe the helmet will lead the Trump suit, the Gundam suit, coming down here. Maybe this player's going to follow suit. And then finally, this player over here is going to win it with the 7. Again, you're going to keep it face up if you win and flip face down if you do. And players are going to check if they satisfied anything. This player up here was trying to lose with a 6 or higher, and they did. So they're going to also put their bead out. So now they don't want to complete any other prediction because they have no more bid tokens left. Jumping ahead a little bit, we have now done the rest of stage 1, which was the end of the 4th trick. So now players are going to look out and they're going to see if they satisfy any of the end of the stage conditions. So this says win the same number of tricks as any other player, 0 counts. And I don't think anyone did that because this player up here got 3, this player got 0, and this player got 1. So no one adds any cube there. And then you're going to check for this one. And this player got 3, 0, and 1. So they did get the most. And being tied would count. So if it went 2 and 2, that would count for both players. If you get a bid correctly, again, you're going to slide it down to the +1 point. So as of right now, this player is doing perfect. They have 3 points, no negatives. If it looked like this, say, and actually it was swapped like this, and this player had a prediction up here, they would have gotten their prediction wrong, and they would have slid their cube down to the -2. Oof. And then this player would have taken their cube and put it out there as one of their kind of leniency things where they were surprised that they did that. If it looked like this, where they both got 2 and 2, they would have both had a cube there. But remember, this player up here was out of bid tokens, and they both won the same number of tricks as each other. So this sunglasses player would put a cube here, and sadly, this helmet player up here would take one of their bids from the supply and put it on the -2. Oof. After you do that, you're going to slide the monkey down. They're going down the track here, and you're going to start off with the 2nd stage. And it's going to be with the player who won the 4th trick. They're going to start off in the next phase. And now you're just going to do the same thing over and over. So this is winning with a certain suit. This is also winning with the Trump suit. This is having the least amount of tricks. This is winning exactly 3 tricks. And then you're going to evaluate, see what happens, maybe add a token if you do it, or pull it down if you do it and bid it. And then at the end here, this player, if they got 1 more trick, so they got exactly 3 tricks, this would slide down. If not, they would slide over here. That whole flow is going to continue, and players will have cards on their stage 2. And then next, you'll start off to stage in final 3, and it is cumulative. So notice how if this looked like this player actually did get 3 exactly tricks. So let me slide that over because they got 2 in the 1st stage and 1 in the 2nd stage, but it counts for at the end of the entire stage, counting all the previous tricks. So going to this one here, that would mean you didn't win with a banana in all 12 tricks. Jumping to the end of the round, if it looked like this, players are going to just look over and see all the cubes on the bottom of all the prediction cards and see what their score is. And so let's count up this player here. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is 5 points. They hit their entire bid. And if you have 0 tokens in your bid leftover section, you get a bonus of 2 points because they perfectly hit their bid. So they would get 7 points. Looking to the red supply player here, they also got all theirs out. So 1, 2, 3, 4 positive points. But sadly, they did miss bid over here and they lost 2 points. So they would get +4, -2, so that's 2. And since they did get a minus, they didn't hit their bid exactly because even though this is empty, they have a -2 out here. So they're not going to get that 2 bonus points. So they just get 2 points. And then finally coming to this player, they had 2 left over. So that's -1 point each. And also they messed up this one. So that's a -2 here. So they got -4 players. Oof. Sorry, Kona Big Wave. So that would be 1 round of the game. You're going to play 2 total rounds. You're going to shuffle and redeal the cards. You're going to change this up and play the second round. And whoever has the most points at the end of those 2 rounds wins. There's also a fun variance where you can play 3 rounds, or you could even not shuffle these up because you know what they are. And now that players kind of know this fun setup, they could try to replay it again and do it again and see how well they do. Fun little variant if you want to try it out. And that's how to play SickTricks. The deck in Quashars is 4 suits numbered 1 through 12. Here you have a game of Quashars set up for 3 players. So no matter the player count, you're going to put the bid chips in the center. You can put 1, 2, 3, and 4 condition decks up at the top here, shuffled. And then you're going to shuffle the deck and deal it equally to all the players. And at 3 players, you're not going to use the 10 through 12. After everything's set up, you're going to flip over the topmost card from all the piles. And these are going to be conditions that players are going to be betting on or bidding on and seeing how many they think they're going to win out of any of the conditions. So bidding starts left of the dealer and it's going to go clockwise. So this player over here is going to look at their hand and they're going to guess how many times they think they're going to win with a green card, win the first, second, or third trick, win if they're going to win exactly 4 tricks or not, and finally, if they're going to win with cards 6 through 9. The trump suit in Quashars is the red suit. And so if this player is looking at their hand here and 9 is the highest card because the 10 through 11 are out, they're a little nervous about this one because they're definitely going to take it with this one. They might take it with the 9 in orange, and they definitely have the 8 and 9 in orange. And then in addition to that, they're going to take a card for any of the greens, and they might take a lot of tricks, they might take 4. So this player is thinking maybe like 6. They're going to bid 6. And that's, again, they're thinking they're going to satisfy any of these conditions 6 times. And that could be this one gets satisfied 3 times, or this one gets satisfied twice, and maybe that one obviously can only happen once. But they are nervous, and maybe they're super nervous, and they're going to take a 7. So maybe this player takes 3, and this player takes 4. And what you can do is you can actually flip one of your chips to have leniency to get 3 or 4, but then you just get half the amount of points at the end if you have 0 chips in front of you, which I'll explain now. So these are just going to sit in the center here. And how it works is, again, starting with the left of dealer, they're going to lead into the first trick. So it is must follow. So if they play that 4 blue, coming over to this person here, maybe they play a 2 blue, and then finally the cat, they have the 9, the 5, and the 3. So they could play the 3. And if they do, that means this cat over here is going to win the first trick, but maybe they don't think they're going to win that much after looking at everyone's bid, and they decide to play the 9. So they won the first trick, they're going to return one of their chips, and they just won with a 9. They're going to return another one of their chips. Wow, spicy. So then they're going to collect this trick, put it here, and then now lead to the next trick. And maybe they decide, well, they're going to be spicy. They're going to lead with green. It's coming over to this player here. They're going to play the 5 of green, and then finally this cat over here, they're going to play the 6 of green. So they won a green card and they won with a 6, so they're going to return 2 chips. Wow, players are just hemorrhaging through chips. This player over here is now going to just lead a 2. Oh, and I forgot they won the second trick, so they're going to get rid of stuff. So they have 0 tokens right now. Uh-oh. So now this player wins, and since it was the third trick, they are going to have to return a chip. Wow, players are hemorrhaging chips. This doesn't always happen. Like, let's say the third trick was a different trick, and this was the 4th trick. The cat would collect this, and since it wasn't one of the first 3 tricks, they didn't win with a 6 through 9, or it was green, then they wouldn't actually have to return a chip at all. But right now, things are just falling out. Let's say this bottom cat led with a blue 3 and coming around here to the final cat's hand. And they, if you remember, only had these high blue. So they are officially in trouble because they're going to have to play one of these. So let's just say they play that. And if you look at it, it is a 7. It is a condition. So they have satisfied the condition. If you've satisfied the condition and you have no more chips to spend, you're going to start taking them. So this cat is now going to start taking the chips. And every time they satisfy a condition, like let's say, this wouldn't be smart, but if they led the 8 there, and this cat, I don't think has any more blue. Yep, this cat over here decides to slough a 9. This cat would have to take another one because they won a trick with an 8. So when you run out of chips, it's not good because then you're taking them, and you can never take and then give back. In the rules, it says once you start taking them, you're just going to take them, because how the scoring works at the end is you don't want chips at all. So you want to get rid of the perfect amount. Either like this player over here wants to eventually get rid of 6 and not do any more, because then they won't take them. Because if this player only gets rid of 4 of those tokens, or maybe 5 of them, they had 7, then they're actually in the exact same boat as this cat who underbid. So you can overbid and underbid and still have chips left over, which is also still bad. Jumping to the end here, this is the cat that only had final 4 tricks, so they're going to lose 1 more chip, but that is going to be it. How the scoring works is you're going to look to see if you have any chips remaining, and you're going to lose a point per chip. So this player over here loses 2, this player over here loses 1, but if you get down to 0, like let's say this person got down to 0, you're going to get 2 times the number of round you are in, so that would be 2 points over here. If this player got down to either just their only 1 white chip, or if they got down to 0 but had used a white chip, then you're going to get 1 times the round number in points. So this player down here would get 1 point, this player would get 2 points, this player would get -2 points. Then to set up for the next round, you're just going to put all the tokens back, you're going to collect all the cards, you're going to flip over a new condition. So now that's winning with odd numbers, winning with a blue card, winning in a row, spicy, and then winning exactly 2 tricks. You're going to play rounds equal to the number of players. So in the final round, you're going to use the last one, which is even cards, yellow cards, the last 2 tricks, and exactly 3 tricks. And then whoever has the most points at the end wins. If you're playing 4 players and want to do another final round, you're actually just going to collect these, shuffle, and flip a random one for all of the conditions. So you get like a fun new setup for the very final round. And whoever has the most points at the end wins, and that's how to play Quashars. So that is Quashars and SickTricks. And whoop, I forgot to change. You're going to get a little pirate version of a development diary on SickTricks, and then some final thoughts on Quashars. So let's get the wonderful Taiki Shizawa up to bat first. So Quashars is a little similar, like I combine these two, like I said at the top, because this is a lot about like what feats do you think you're going to do and bidding on them. And they're done in different ways, and they're both very different, interesting systems. And Quashars does it as like a kind of like a set of things that can happen, and like there's 4 types, and then it's very balanced because it's like shuffle, draw 1, and then shuffle, draw 1, and then at the very end, like after you go through all of them, you have that final like random one. And I think it does it really well. I like the different types of things it does. It's fun to have those fun little mixes that don't really go out of the way too much. And I like the scoring system where it's like you take them as much as you can, and then anytime you fulfill, you put it out there. And if you over fulfill, that you're going to start taking them. I think it's a really smooth system. The card play, classic Taiki, very simple, very nice. I think it's a good time. Quashars is really, really fun. It's tough though because I keep comparing it to SickTricks. Maybe that's not the right thing to do, but this one has just like a very different approach to a similar idea. But I think what Quashars does well is it has like these fun moments where you look around the table and you see what players are bidding. And it's so interesting because when you're bidding in a trick-taking game, like on the number of tricks you think you're going to win, you're getting a sense when someone bids, like how strong their hand is. But in this one, you're like, you bid a lot, but maybe that just means you're going to like win the last trick with a single card. Like that could just be 1 trick to someone, and it could be like 3 feats, you know, or like whatever they're called in here. So it's really interesting to look at someone's hand and be like, that could mean a variety of different things. And there's some vagueness to it, which is really, really interesting. Because Quashars is just like, could do any of them. I don't know. Whereas like in SickTricks, half of them are going out on something. So you can kind of know what someone is going for. But that is Quashars. I think this is great stuff. It's essentially a very honed in version of like what can happen in a trick in 4 different ways. And then those randomly shuffled and like loop through. Make sure you see everything the game can do and have like a nice smorgasbord of everything. And yeah, it's good stuff. I like it a lot. Quashars is a good time. Next up, SickTricks. So I didn't cover Extreme Tricks because I got the gig to develop this pretty much right when it came out. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll just cover it as SickTricks. And a huge grain of salt, obviously, because I did development on this. I think what was really fun to work on in SickTricks is come up with all of the different feats that you can do. Like just how many can we possibly fit in this box? It got to the point where it was like, okay, we're at the card count, which is great. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I should talk about the development on SickTricks and how it was different than any other development. So I have done a fair amount of development on games, and sometimes it's this game needs more content. Sometimes it's this game needs to be streamlined. Sometimes this game doesn't quite work and you really need to like kind of overhaul it a lot. And then, you know, sometimes a mix of a lot of different things. But what was interesting about this one was the bones were great, and the game itself, Extreme Tricks, was great. It was wonderful. It was being played a ton at T8, I believe, the trick taking convention when it came out after Tokyo Game Market that year. And there was just so much fun to be had in that game. And so when I was tasked to do development on this, the 2 fields that I really looked into were, one, more content, like more things you can do and cards you can add, like I said, of like feats and such that you can bid on. And then the second thing was interesting that I didn't realize was like, as I was playing it, there was the development of like the game flow and like the rules behind it and like the procedure players would do. So in Extreme Tricks, in the original, players would play a card into a trick, and then players would like collect the whole card and then find the card that they won with, right, and put it on top and then put it in front of themselves. And then players would like move tokens around, and there was a lot of just like fervor and kind of like mess in front of everyone. And like a lot of things were going around, and you'd be like playing cards around this board that was really important. It had cubes on it that were like easy to knock. And it was just like so much, there's like just a pot, just a big mess of stuff happening in the center here. And it was just like too much, and it was just like a lot going on. And I liked Extreme Tricks a lot, but it was just like, it was like a pot with like fingers and hands, and it was just like, what was going on? And so one of the interesting things about the development was how to clean that part up. So I came up with an idea of everyone just plays their card, you see if you win or not, and if you lose, you just put it face down. If you win, you keep it face up. And then you can have in front of you all your tricks just like in a sequential kind of order here. And that was just to clean up the kind of like potness of Extreme Tricks. And what was crazy and great is that led to the first part of the development, which was coming up with more feats. Because then, now that you have an order and you have like a timeline of sorts of tricks in front of you, you can have other feats that are related to sequential winning. So like win 2 in a row, or win 1, then lose 1, then win 1, or like lose 4 in a row, or whatever. And it was cool how like cleaning up the game process like fed back into the content of like the game, or like the design of the feats and such. So that was really cool, like how it informed each other. And it was really nice because I think that system works pretty well. Also, it clears up the board, so you can just really have like the board in front of everyone, and everyone's still moving things around. The other development was changing the bidding. So in Extreme Tricks, if you messed up your bid, you left your piece at the top, and that was worth like -1 point. And I noticed players would always try to move it, and they'd be like, oh, wait, what? And so I think always having that process of like moving your bids and making them actually a little scarier to bid was nice. I think in a bidding game where there's like some flexibility of like, oh, you don't actually bid on half the things. You do have some kind of like leftover stuff. To have it be a little bit scarier when you actually do declare, added a little bit nicer tension, a little bit like pumped up stakes, which I really liked. Because in all honesty, it's really interesting that Extreme Tricks had, and now SickTricks has, a mix of you're showing half the feats, roughly, that you think you can do, and then you're kind of keeping close to the chest which ones you think you can do. And that can change, right? Because you can be like, ugh, I missed this one, I hope I can get this one. Or sometimes it's like, you get that one and you're like, ugh, okay, maybe one of the ones I was going for, I'm trying to get out of. So it's really nice to make players bid on feats, but then have like kind of a hierarchical bid where it's like, I am saying this is hard going to happen. I'm going to say this probably is soft going to happen, so I'm not going to say it out loud. And then also like, it's really fun because players are like, oh, you think that's hard going to happen? That's the one I'm going to try to mess up because that's the only one I know that you're trying to do specifically. So adding, or I ramped up the penalty and the kind of the tension for the ones you declare to kind of really make them feel like, because in the past, if you missed the ones you declare, it was as bad as missing and having leftover ones in front of you. And that felt weird. Because like if you're shooting your shot, I kind of want that to be a little bit more oomph than messing up one that you didn't have to declare at all. So that it created more of a valley between those two types of biddings, which I think is just so juicy and fun. So yeah, that was mostly it. And then other than that, just coming up with a lot more of the tasks and the feats. I think in the original game, SickTricks, it was too strongly weighted toward winning and having a good hand and doing feats about essentially just having a strong hand. So then a big goal was actually to have more lose feats and have valuing and trying to do things that were centered around losing, like lose and win the lose or something along those lines. And I think it's striking a better balance now. So back in the past game, SickTricks, like having a stronger hand on average, you could do more feats. And so now it's like a nicer balance of like, oh, I could dealt any hand. What can this hand do? Anywho, that is SickTricks. I hope you check it out. This was such a blast to work on. And the original design by Masato is so clever, so fun. And I know I'm comparing the two, and I realize in retrospect it's also weird to do like a final thoughts and then a development diary. But I think these are wonderful games each, and they do it so differently and have such a different feel that I would be hard-pressed to not want to play both of these all the time.
Hey, interrupting Taylor here. I thought I would mention an interesting difference between these two games is that in Quashars, you can redo the feats multiple times, and part of it is trying to understand how many times you will redo a feat, whereas in SickTricks, those only happen once. Even if you do it multiple times, it only counts as once. And the other interesting thing, which Johnny, Game Market West, pointed out, is that in Quashars, you are always on the hook for doing a feat. Like, it's just one of the four, and you can do any of them, and it's not like you're picking which ones. Whereas this one is like you're bidding and picking on which ones you're going to do. So you're self-selecting in SickTricks, whereas Quashars is like, anyone can do them, so try to guess how many times you're going to be doing them. Thought I would give those, because, again, just showing off how there's so much nuance with these two games. All right, back to previous Taylor? A different Taylor. All right, bye. Grain of salt for that one. But thanks so much for watching. That was Quashars and SickTricks. Hope you check it out. If you check out the Kickstarter, there's also a legacy going on, as you can tell. But thanks so much for watching. Catch you on the flip. Bye.